Part 15. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 143. The waters outside Wanakuni are really dangerous. Levi sat on Zeus and said with emotion, no wonder Wanakuni can be closed to the country. There are such dangerous sea areas outside. Whether those who want to escape from Wanakuni or those who want to go to Wanakuni, they must face this test. The sea here is undulating, and the direction is extremely confusing. There are huge schools of carp constantly shuttled in the sea. Although he doesn't know why freshwater fish like carp are in the sea, Levi remembers that the direction the carp passed is Wanakuni. Wanakuni is close at hand. Levi followed the school of fish through a huge climbing waterfall, and then a big uzumaki appeared in front of him. Levi immediately laughed, because Levi was sitting on Zeus, and he had already seen the country of Wano. The view behind you. Is this the village of Walai? Levi landed on the beach. The people here looked very thin and malnourished. When they heard this, they looked up at Levi and said, "This is Walai village. What can I do for you?" Levi couldn't help but sigh when he saw the miserable appearance of the people here. The people here were really miserable. Zeus! Levi shouted to the sky. "Nu!" Zeus responded, and then a sky full of food fell from the sky. This is food. Countless hungry people suddenly became excited. They started running around telling each other, and the whole village became lively. "Did you do this?" The old man who just answered the question could see clearly that the extraordinary warrior in front of him shouted, and then the food fell from the sky. "I gave this to you. It would be great if you could give me another hat," Levi replied with a smile. He has been dealing with pirates and marines since he went to sea. This is the first time for him to face ordinary people directly. This feeling is very novel. "Everyone, the food was given to us by this benefactor. Let's thank our benefactor." Following the old man's lead, everyone knelt down to Levi. "That's not necessary. Let's eat quickly," Levi replied. Then his eyes scanned the crowd. Suddenly, Levi's eyes lit up and he found the person he was looking for. At this moment, the little girl with dark lilac hair, a bun, and a light green patched kimono was working hard to pick up food. She looked about 3 or 4 years old, with a round face and a cute look. "It's a complete mess." "What's your name, little girl?" Levi asked with a smile. "Sir, my name is Xiao." "Thank you for bringing food to the village," the little girl in front of him said to Levi in a sweet voice. Levi was overjoyed. He knew he had found his target. "I have a gift for you, little girl." Levi smiled slightly, and as if by magic, a women's kimono appeared in his hand. This is a light green kimono dotted with tiny lilac flowers, and a light orange belt makes this kimono even more delicate. There was a look of envy in Xiao's eyes, but she still said firmly, "Sir, I like this dress very much, but I can't accept it. Our village has already accepted food gifts from adults, and we don't dare to ask for such a beautiful dress." Clothes. Levi was also impressed by this little girl. Although she was only 3 or 4 years old, she was so sensible that it made people feel distressed. "My lord, are you a samurai from outside?" Xiao asked. "How did you tell?" Levi asked himself. His clothes were already in line with the local customs. How could a 3 or 4-year-old girl spot it at a glance? "Sir, your sword is different from our Wanakuni swords, and your temperament doesn't look like our Wanakuni people." Xiao covered her mouth and chuckled. "Sir, I don't know if Xiao has offended you in any way. Fei Che has apologized to you. Please put her down." While Levi was chatting and joking with Xiao, a masked man knelt down behind him. This guy had extremely strange body proportions, a huge head, and an extremely long nose. When he knelt down to worship Levi, his nose was already poking at the ground. "Master Fei Che," Xiao got off Levi's body and helped Fei Che up. "Please give me flowers." "What, "Are you here to challenge General Kurozumai and Kaido's samurai?" Fighter exclaimed. When Levi told him the purpose of his trip, Feish immediately exclaimed. He had seen a few foreigners, but this was the first time he saw such a brave warrior. "Brother Levi, don't go, they are very strong." Xiao stopped him anxiously. In her opinion, this eldest brother is a good man and he will be very sad if he is killed by Kaido. "Yes, Mr. Levi, since Kurozumai Orokai killed General Kojiki, countless samurai have launched revenge against Kurozumai Orokai and Kaido, but they were all defeated by Kaido's men, and they did not even see Kaido's face." 0. Fei-che seemed to be reminded of the past, and his eyes were full of fear. After that, Kaido built weapon forges all over Wanakuni, and countless craftsmen were captured. They destroyed our villages everywhere to capture slaves, and they also discharged the sewage from the forges into the earth, destroying the animals and fish on the entire earth. All are contaminated and inedible. Fei-che's tone was full of sadness. He is a descendant of the legendary swordsmith Guche. In order to avoid Kaido's pursuit, he put on the Tengu mask. "I'm very strong." Levi smiled softly, and then a terrifying aura emanated from his body. Although this aura only passed away in a flash, Fei-che was already sitting on the ground in fear. "Is this strength enough to challenge Kurozumai Orokai?" Levi asked Fighter. "It's Fei-che who is blind. If you can really defeat Kaido, we residents of Wanakuni will never forget your kindness." Fei-che knelt down to Levi, and the young master also knelt down after seeing this. "I need a guide, Xiao, will you be my guide?" Levi asked Xiao. "My daughter is willing," Xiao nodded fiercely. "Then put on these clothes. As my follower, you will be laughed at if you wear too shabby clothes." Levi took out the kimono again. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 144. "It really fits, big brother." Xiao turned around happily. Fei-che suddenly felt very sad. He choked and said, "Today is Xiao's birthday, but I am so useless as a master. I can't even sell a new dress for Xiao. I am so useless." "Don't say that, Master Fei-che, you are the greatest master in the world." Xiao ran to Fei-che and comforted him. "Brother, Xiao is very happy today. Not only do we have delicious food today, but we also have new clothes to wear." Xiao smiled brightly. Looking at Xiao's pure smile, Levi also felt that a soft corner in his heart had been touched. He said seriously to Xiao, "Xiao, I promise you that today is just the beginning, and you will be happier day by day." 500 haha, Xiao laughed happily. "Since today is Xiao's birthday, let me go get some delicious food." Levi looked into the distance. "Is there delicious food in this castle?" Levi and Xiao are now riding on a large yellow poodle. This is a Koma dog that is as big as an elephant and is a specialty of Wanakuni. This kind of dog is not only fast but also extremely stable, making it a very good mount. "Yes, brother, the manor on this mountain grows food directly supplied to General Kurozumai. The food here is pure and pollution-free," Xiao said, pointing to the manor on the mountain. "Okay, then rush in." Levi's eyes flashed, and then the huge door broke into two parts silently. In the center of this manor, there is a huge treasure ship. The ship is piled with all kinds of food, which looks fragrant. The people in the manor stared at Levi blankly. They were all shocked by the way Levi appeared. Only when Levi put the rope in front of the treasure ship around Komakiyo did these guys react. "No, that's food for General Kurozumai and Lord Kaido. You can't touch it," a dog-like ability user shouted, and then a sharp whistle alerted the entire manor, and countless people energy users with animal heads were pouring in from all over the villa. What a hassle! Levi's conqueror's haki was released, and people fell down one after another. In the end, only a centaur woman with half black and half hair was left. "I am Kaido's subordinate who is responsible for guarding Bologo town in Julai district. You put down the treasure ship, otherwise there will be big trouble. Speed felt that her forelegs were trembling. The man in front of her was so powerful. It was so terrifying that Speed felt like the person standing in front of him was Kaido. No, here you go. Xiao rubbed a small ball from her face and handed it to Speed. What is this? Speed sniffed, and she felt an urge to eat it. Although she knew it was wrong, she couldn't help but eat it. It's so delicious. Speed suddenly became beaming and smiled. Levi could feel that Speed was originally full of hostility towards them, but now her attitude suddenly changed 180 degrees. This is my ability, oh Yingao. Now Mame is our friend, Xiao said with a smile. Very good ability, Xiao. Levi also laughed. This is why Levi brought Xiao here. With Xiao's devil fruit ability, he can subdue Kaido's givers, which will provide Levi saves a lot of trouble. Xiao, sir, let's leave quickly. The news here has alarmed Master Jack, otherwise we will be in big trouble when Master Jack comes. After Speed was transformed by Xiao, she completely changed her camp. And also automatically accepted the title of Mame. Xiao, eat the apple. Levi handed a bright red apple to Xiao, and at the same time he rushed Kocho down the mountain. It's so delicious. This is the most delicious fruit Xiao has ever eaten. Xiao became happy on Mame's back, and then she handed the half-eaten apple to Mame. It's really delicious, Xiao. Mame swallowed the whole apple in one mouthful, and she showed Xiao a smile that looked like a horse. Boom! The big ship kept rushing towards the foot of the mountain. It made so much noise that the villagers in Jianle village at the foot of the mountain were also alarmed. What is this sound? Is the Taoshan bandits coming? While they were guessing, the figure of this treasure ship appeared in their field of vision. It's food. All the residents of Jiala village became excited, and they rushed out of the house one by one. Thank God, if I can eat enough, I can die with a peaceful eye, an old lady muttered. Brother, give them half of the food. Xiao looked at these sallow and skinny people, and she remembered what happened to their village. Okay, it's up to you, Levi smiled, then waved his hand back, slashing the treasure ship diagonally into 1/3, and countless food sloping down along the gap. The entire residents of Jianle village began to pick up food crazily and kept expressing their gratitude to Levi. This man is so scary. His true nature is definitely not inferior to Lord Odin. A woman in a goose yellow kimono said in shock. He knew that Wanakuni was about to experience new turmoil. Is that Aju? Levi also saw the person dressed up by this woman. From the appearance, she was 5.5 and a beautiful woman. There was no trace of a man at all. She was worthy of being Wanakuni's #1 women's clothing boss. Sir, what do you call me, so I can know who to thank? Aju shouted to Levi. My eldest brother's name is Levi. Xiao's laughter came. Levi, Aju said this strange name, not knowing whether this man's appearance was good or bad for Wanakuni. Everyone, we are back. In the evening, as the sun was setting, Levi and Xiao also rushed back to the village, and brought so much food. Everyone, today is Xiao's birthday. To celebrate, let's have a party, Levi shouted loudly. As his words fell, the atmosphere in the whole village suddenly became cheerful. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 145. What? The food dedicated to Lord Kaido was robbed, and even Speed rebelled. In the darkness, a big man started fighting. This guy is tall and muscular, with a ponytail and 2 braids, a metal jaw on his mouth, and 2 ivory-like decorations on his head and shoulders. He is Kaido sitting down the drought, the great pirate Jack with a bounty of 1 billion Baileys. At this moment, Jack felt like he was about to explode. Among the 3 disasters, he was originally the least qualified, and now he showed up to see something like this. How could he be embarrassed in front of Yin and Quinn? Take someone, I want to see who dares to cause trouble in July. Jack's eyes were bloodshot, and he was already on the verge of rage. His men did not dare to neglect, and they all hurriedly gathered together, so in the billowing smoke and dust, Jack's army rushed towards Wulai village. What, those poor ghosts from Wheelie village actually robbed the treasure ship dedicated to Kurozumai Orokai and Kaido. Among the Taoshan thieves, a man with pink curly hair and a fat body climbed up from the back of the cow. He was Taoshan, the backbone of the thieves group, Tenmaru. Follow me to Wenli village. I want to see why these poor people dare to rob the treasure ship. Shuttenmaru sneered. After that, everyone in the 15-headed mountain bandit group headed towards Wengli village. After a night of carnival, people in the entire Wulai village have now fallen into a deep sleep. They have not held such a bonfire party for a long time, and everyone is having a great time. Master Levi, I wonder what your next move will be, Fei Che asked in awe. This man held a very meaningful birthday party for Xiao. He could do these things for a child. Fighter believed that Levi was definitely not a bad person. He was the real warrior who came to defeat Kurozumai and Kaido. Now that the treasure ship has been robbed, we just need to wait here for the enemy. Come and kill one, come and kill two. Levi smiled kindly, but Fei Che felt a chill from the bottom of his heart. Let the villagers hide, they are coming, Levi ordered Fei Che. Levi's observation Haki has sensed Jack's traces, and an unexpected enemy has also arrived. You robbed us. As Jack arrived, a thin man with a goatee behind Jack asked Levi. The thing is right here, it doesn't have eyes, Levi pushed back without raising his head. What an arrogant boy, you should die. The man drew out a scimitar, jumped up high and slashed at Levi. Call out. An arrow was shot in the dense forest, and the arrow directly penetrated the goatee man, and he fell to the ground without saying a word. With a sound of stomping, Mame dragged Xiao and ran to Levi's side. Brother, I want to fight side by side with you. Xiao's round face was full of determination. Don't worry, master, I will protect you. Mame turned around and said to her. Speed, how could you betray Boss Duo? Jack still can't figure this out. Speed knows Kaido's strength, isn't she afraid of Kaido's revenge? My master is Xiao now, Speed said to Jack. Although there was still a look of fear on her face, she still admitted that she had rebelled. The traitor must die. Jack's eyes were bloodshot, and he took the two ivory-like swords in his hands. It's really lively today. Even the famous drought has appeared. When Jack was about to take action, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind him. Jushin Wan, it's you. I didn't expect that the Taoshan bandits would also come here. Jack looked at the fat man riding a cow in front of him and shouted. Others don't know Jushin Wan's identity, but Jack does. Shuttenmaru, also known as Ashura Daji, is one of the 9 red scabbard heroes. 40 years ago, he was known as the most dangerous man in Kuri. After he was defeated by Kojiki Odin, he followed Odin and became Odin's retainer. He once fought Kaido with Denjiro. Kaido was deeply impressed by him, so he always wanted to take this man as his subordinate, so Jack also had some impressions of this man. Jushin Wan, it's none of your business, so don't meddle in other people's business, Jack said to him impatiently. Although Kaido wants to recruit this man, if this man is ignorant, Jack will kill him without hesitation. The villagers of Wengli village watched nervously in the woods as Levi confronted them. They also wanted to fight Jack and Shuttenmaru with Levi, but their strength was too weak and they could only wait helplessly for things to happen. The result of, Hey, don't push me here. I'm in a hurry, so come on together, Levi interrupted their conversation impatiently. Now an opponent of Jack's level simply can't raise the slightest bit. Interest of. How dare you underestimate Laozi like this? Jack and Shuttenmaru shouted at Levi at the same time, and then they pressed their momentum towards Levi with all their strength. Mame was extremely nervous, and her hand holding the longbow turned white from nervousness. With her strength, she was definitely no match for Jack. Juten Meru also looked very difficult to mess with. Now she could only pin her hopes on 953. It's on Levi. Levi's hair was slightly raised by their momentum, and he raised his head sharply. Since you are ready, I will take action. A dark green slash swung towards Jack and others along the 7-star sword. When the slash appeared, Jack and others' minds suddenly exploded. A slash of this level will kill you, Jack and Shuten Meru shouted in their hearts at the same time. Boom! As the slashes passed by, the entire ground suddenly became filled with smoke and dust. When the smoke and dust dissipated, everyone's pupils shrank into a thin line. Jack and Shuten Meru's men were all killed under Levi's slash. Jack and Shuten Meru's bodies were also scarred. The weapons in their hands had been neatly broken into 2 pieces. Their hands were now trembling. Such a level of slashing, this kind of slashing is actually stronger than Odin-sama, Shuten Meru kept roaring in his heart. He originally thought that after Odin's death, there would be no man in Wano worthy of his following. I didn't expect that someone stronger than Odin would appear now. Levi, you are Levi, the great pirate with a bounty of 5 billion Baileys. Jack finally remembered who this man was, but he didn't expect that this man actually came to Wano after being silent for so long. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 146. Be sure to report this news to Master Kaido. Jack knew that this man was here for Master Kaido. When this man was young, he had the strength to compete with Lord Kaido. He was a monster even more than Bullet. This man suddenly appeared in Wano after being silent for a long time. He must have a shocking plan. As expected of Jack, who has a bounty of 1 billion, he can actually kill me with a sword. Levi laughed, and then the 7-star sword in his hand bloomed with light again. No, I absolutely can't die here. Thinking of this, Jack turned into a giant mammoth and ran wildly into the distance. Kaido, who had always been fearless, was so frightened by Levi that he ran away without a fight. How can you sleep like this? Shuten Meru roared like crazy. As a retainer of Kojiki Odin, he always thought that Kojiki Odin was the most powerful swordsman in the world. Therefore, even though Kojiki Odin has been dead for more than 10 years, he still leads his men to fight against Kaido. For more than 10 years, there are fewer and fewer samurai who can resist. Other samurai are also afraid of Kaido's power. They all went into hiding, and only Shuten Meru kept fighting Kaido, and vowed not to obey Kaido to the death. You can also take a trick from me. Shuten Meru's huge body jumped up from the cow's back, and then he swung the broken sword in his hand to slash. Boom! Joshin Meru's huge body hit the ground, his mouth and nose were bleeding, and he looked extremely miserable. You're dreaming if you think you can escape so easily, Jack. Jack had already escaped a long distance when Levi and Shuten Meru were fighting, and had almost disappeared from Levi's sight. An extremely fast slash penetrated Jack's back, and his huge body he rolled 3 times on the ground, then got up again and continued running. As expected of Zoan demon fruit power, the vitality is really strong. Levi just glanced at it and stopped paying attention. A mere Jack had no impact on his plan at all. Master Levi is so strong. The villagers who were watching the battle were all flushed with excitement. They had seen how powerful Jack was. One after another powerful warriors were penetrated by Jack's tusks, and eventually they were trampled to pieces by him. Now Jack was actually frightened by Master Levi. He ran away, as if he knew Lord Levi and was frightened by Lord Levi's name. Why don't you run away, Shuten Meru? Levi asked Shuten Meru, who was lying on the ground. I escaped once after listening to that man's order more than 10 years ago. I don't want to escape again. Shuten Meru struggled to get up from the ground. Then he took out the gourd from his waist and took a big gulp. Liquor. Aren't you afraid of death? Levi asked, raising his eyebrows. I should have died more than 10 years ago. For so many years, I have been living a life worse than death. But you don't know why you come to Wanakuni with such strength. Shuttenmaru looked at the overly strong man in front of him. The man asked. I'm here to kill Kaido and Kurozumai and take over Wanakuni, Levi said. Another careerist, Shuttenmaru looked at Levi with disdain. I am different from Kaido. I just want to turn this place into one of the bases. I will occupy Wanakuni for 20 years at most, and I promise that I will not do such things to bully the people of Wanakuni. The most important thing is that I also recognize Kojiki, the leadership position of the family, but it is a pity that the Kojiki family has no heir, Levi sighed. You don't know the bright moon. If you get what you want. 20 years woven into a bright moon. 9 shadows falling from the sky. Do you know the dazzling dawn? Shuttenmaru slowly read out a poem. The Kojiki family is not extinct. They will appear in 20 years. Now 17 years have passed. They will appear in 3 years. Shuttenmaru's eyes were full of determination, although he also scorned this prophecy, but he still persisted alone for 17 years. Not enough. This reason won't convince me. 3 years later, a bastard will run out of nowhere and say that he is the heir of Wanakuni. Levi said to Shuttenmaru, do you think I will believe this absurdity? Prophecy. Then can I follow you first, sir? I can deal with enemies that are not too difficult for you. I want to see with my own eyes how you recover Wanakuni. Shuttenmaru's huge body knelt down in front of Levi. Okay, I allow you to follow, Levi smiled at Shuttenmaru. Master Levi, it's great that you're all right. By this time, Fei-che finally determined that there was no danger at all, and he led the villagers out of the woods. Jushin-wan, send your subordinates to tell Sanban that I am going to Hwaju. Let's set off tomorrow morning. Levi ordered to Jushin. Fito, a samurai cannot live without a sword. Give him the sword on your waist. Levi glanced at Shuttenmaru's broken sword and said to Fito. What Shuttenmaru used was only a long sword of Lianku Ideo level, and a long sword of this level could not match his strength at all. This is not acceptable. This is an heirloom passed down from our ancestors. It is of extraordinary significance to me. Seeing Levi and Shuttenmaru's eyes constantly patrolling his waist, he hurriedly covered his knife. 21 sharp swords. Although Shuttenmaru didn't see clearly which knife it was, Chien Hao, judging from the workmanship and smell of the knife, this knife undoubtedly belonged to the 21 series. Sir, please wait for me for a moment. Fei-che bowed to Levi, and then he ran towards his hut. Sir Shuttenmaru, this is my ancestor's sword, please cherish it. Fei-che presented a knife to Shuttenmaru with both hands. This is second generation Kaiditsu, the second generation Kaiditsu among the 21 great swordsmen. Shuttenmaru took a deep look at Hitosu, a man who can possess 2 great swords and 21 swords. The human identity is absolutely extraordinary. Shuttenmaru always thought that he knew enough about Wanakuni, but today he discovered that there were actually many things about Wanakuni that he didn't know. Thank you, Master Levi, for the gift of the sword. Shuttenmaru bowed to Levi, and then he rode the bull into the distance. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 147. What, Levi, the great pirate with a bounty of 5 billion belly, showed up in Wanakuni. Quinn was shocked by the news that Jack brought. Now Jack's body is in extremely miserable condition. Levi's last slash almost cut him into 2 pieces from his back. Fortunately, he has Zoan demon fruit power. The healing ability is extremely strong, otherwise he would have died long ago. Sir, this is the news sent by the Taoshan bandits. A giver came in and handed Quinn a letter. Shuttenmaru acted extremely quickly. Less than half a day after Jack came back, his letter was delivered to Quinn. Brother Quinn, what happened? Jack asked Quinn. Shuttenmaru fought with him against Levi. When he escaped, he saw that Shuten-Meru had been defeated by Levi. Now his subordinates came to deliver the message again, which seemed abnormal. Levi is going to the flower capital. Quinn sighed and handed the letter to Jack. Now Levi is going to the flower capital soon, Quinn said to Jack. What? Jack was shocked. The flower city is the capital of Wanakuni, and now Kurozumai is also in the flower city. Send a message to Mr. Kaido now. Wanakuni will be in chaos soon. 413, Quinn said to Jack, and at the same time he took out the phone bug in his hand and started to make a call. Yin, Levi is on the way to Wanakuni, please take him with you right away if you want to harass them. Remember, Levi's strength is definitely not inferior to Kaido-sama, so don't fight him. Master Levi, it's time for us to set off, Shuten-Meru said to Levi. So amid the cheers of all the villagers, Levi embarked on the journey to the flower capital. Mame, you must protect Xiao, Levi said to Mame. At this moment, Xiao was sitting on Mame's back. Levi was not ready to let Xiao go, but Xiao kept rolling and acting aggressively towards Levi. Finally, Shuten-Meru said to take this brat with him, it would be bad if she was held hostage by Kaido. So now there is such a strange scene, Levi is sitting on Zeus, Shuten-Meru is riding his bull, and Mame is following them all the way to the flower. Bah! With a cry, a huge shadow covered them all, and then a raging flame fell from the sky. BFDF. Get out of the way, this is Master Jin's Skyfire, Mame suddenly shouted. She once saw Yin take action once. At that time, the Skyfire fell and even the enemy's weapons were burned into molten iron. Go back. Levi swung his fist towards the sky, and with a violent burst of fist wind, Wei Huo was blown away by Levi's fist. The giant pterosaur wearing a black police sergeant uniform revealed its true form. Come down here. Levi's eyes flashed, and a slash followed the sky towards the pterosaur. Yin felt like the hairs on his body stood up in the sky. The moment Levi's slash was swung, the slash had already reached in front of him. Yin had been fighting on the sea with Kaido for countless years, but this was the first time he had seen such a fast slash, and this slash was extremely powerful. His whole body felt pain even before the sword energy reached his body. Although Quinn told him that Levi's strength was no less than Kaido, Yin didn't believe it. He unsheathed his long sword and followed Levi's slash with a slash. Bah! Yin let out a miserable scream again, his wings were broken by Levi's blow, blood fell all over the sky, and he spread his wings and left this place. Master Levi is so powerful, Shuten-Meru said in shock. He could not do it by delivering such a powerful slash from such a distance and at such a fast speed. After that, Levi and others continued to face harassment. Various flying Zoan demon fruit powers kept shooting arrows or javelins at Levi and others from the sky. However, under Levi's terrifying slashes, they were the most vulnerable. Levi killed him with just one blow. Where is the place ahead? Levi's eyes narrowed slightly. In this place, Levi felt several existences with very powerful auras. Sir, there is a free prison in front of you, Juwiwin replied to Levi. The people in Rabbit Bowl prison are those who opposed General Kurozumai Urakai and Kaido. After their defeat, they were imprisoned here to provide labor for the quarry. They can only get food if they provide labor, Mame said simply. Levi described the current situation at Rabbit Bowl prison. When Levi arrived, Quinn and others evacuated Rabbit Bowl prison, and they also headed for the flower capital. They had received orders, and Kaido was also going to the flower capital, which would be the battlefield for their final battle. Open it for me. Shuten-Meru rode an ox and rushed towards the gate of Tuwin prison. A flash of white light flashed, and the gate of Mingguan prison was opened by him. There is an enemy invasion. With the sharp whistle, groups of soldiers came towards Jushin, but none of them were Jushin Wan's enemies. They were all chopped down by Jushin Wan. On the way here, Levi and others have been attacked from the air. Due to his limited strength, he cannot attack the flying demon fruit power. He has already been simmering with anger. Now the guards of Rabbit Bowl prison will soon he killed them all. With such fighting power despite severe injuries, Shuten Meru is indeed the strongest under Kojiki Odin. Levi couldn't help but nodded in approval. Sir, what should we do with these prisoners? They are all very powerful. Do you want to take them to the flower capital to challenge Kurozumai Urakai? Shuten Meru pointed at these prisoners and said to Levi. No need, they will only add fearless casualties. The key to victory or defeat lies only in Kurozumai Urakai and Kaido. For these lower-level samurai, they are just cannon fodder. Levi glanced at the prisoners, and then I decided not to take them with me. I didn't expect that, sir. You are also a kind person, and you actually consider the lower-level warriors like this. Shuten Meru knelt in front of Levi and burst into tears. Hey, I'm just telling the truth, you're so moved, Levi complained in his heart as he looked at the fat man in front of him who was crying into a ball. Hey, after you escape, you hide for a month. The Lord and I will defeat Kurozumai and Kaido within a month at most. Then you will be free. Shuten Meru shouted to the prisoners, and then they started again. Get up and head towards the flower capital. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirates, check in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 148. Sir, in fact, in addition to a son named Momosuke, Lord Odin also has a daughter named Kojiki Hiyori, who also has the power to inherit the Kojiki family. On the way to the Flower City, Shuten Meru told Levi the past of the Kojiki family. Tell me what you think, Jushin Meru. Levi glanced at the fat man and said to him. Sir, if you allow it, I request you to marry Princess Hiyori, and you will take revenge as the son-in-law of the Kojiki family. In this case, there will be no public opposition to you, and you can take charge of the entire Wanakuni without any bloodshed. Shuten Meru, his head almost fell to the ground. Shuten Meru, you have to know that my strength and power are not inferior to Kaido at all. I think it is not difficult to rule Wanakuni violently. Why do I have to become Hiyori's husband? Levi said to Shuten Meru. One of the characteristics of Wanakuni people is that they pay special attention to etiquette. Just like Shuten Meru now, before he could speak properly, he rolled off the back of the cow and knelt on the ground. Sir, I don't know why you want to conquer Wanakuni, but since you didn't bring any soldiers to Wanakuni, it means you don't want others to know your plan now. If Wanakuni is unstable, you will also be troubled, right? Shuten Meru lowered his head. Levi looked at the fat man in front of him. Although the plot said that this guy betrayed Kojiki Odin, it seemed that was not the case now. This guy was very loyal to Kojiki Odin. Now he not only wants to defeat Kurozumai Urakai, but also wants to restore the Kojiki family. Jushin-wan, don't you have a prophecy about the 9 red scabbard heroes? The 20-year deadline is coming soon. You can just wait for MRSG's prophecy. Why bother to plot against me, Levi? He said leisurely to Shuten Meru. Sir, aren't I preparing with both hands? I have to seize both hands and never miss an opportunity to revive the Kojiki family. Shuten Meru laughed. Levi couldn't help but be speechless at this shameless fat man. Sir, let me tell you that Princess Hiyori is in the flower capital now. Her subordinates were protecting her at that time, but later lost contact with her. General Kurozumai's office has not announced the death of Princess Hiyori until now. This shows that she is still alive now. Jushin Meru analyzed Levi. How do you know she's still in the Flower City? Levi asked curiously. Sir, Wanakuni is only so big. The Taoshin bandits under him have never been to the Flower City. They have searched all other places carefully several times. Shuten Meru laughed happily after saying this. Looking at Shuten Meru, who was smiling happily, Levi couldn't help but admire him. His master died in battle and his young master disappeared. This guy has been fighting alone for more than 10 years carrying the flag of the Kojiki family, and we are still looking for Kojiki Hiri all over the country. This is a true loyal man. Princess Hiri should be 21 years old now. Princess Hiri's personality is the same as Mrs. Toki's, but she is a very gentle and good person. Shunmaru's eyes were full of tenderness, but now he could not tell that she was a good person. The leader of a band of thieves. I don't know what Princess Hiri is doing now. She will definitely become a peerless beauty. If you see her, you will definitely be fascinated by her. Shunmaru laughed again. Shunmaru, how can you confirm the identity of Princess Hiri? After all, so many years have passed. Levi asked Shunmaru. At that time, in order to prevent Mrs. Toki's ability from failing and to continue the bloodline of the Kojiki family, the young master Momonosuke went to the future under the protection of Reizo and other retainers, while Princess Kojiki Hiri was protected by his subordinates and Kawamatsu, and his subordinates led the stand-in for Princess Hiri escaped from Oden Castle. Shunmaru explained to Levi. At that time, Princess Hiri was carrying Oden-sama's personal sword Inma. This sword was also the Great Knife 21. It was with this sword that Lord Oden left a wound on Kaido's body. My subordinates still remember that time. As for Princess Hiri, she will use this long sword to pierce the Kurozumi snake's chest with her own hands. Shunmaru's words made Levi look at Kojiki Hiri with admiration. He didn't expect 10 women to have such an IQ. Please give me flowers. Brother, Xiao will also become a ninja in the future to protect brother. Xiao waved her little fist and said to Levi in a sweet voice. This little girl has never seen what a ninja looks like. She just knows that ninja is a very powerful profession in Wano Kuni. Okay, brother, I'll wait for the day when you become a powerful ninja. Levi smiled and touched Xiao's head. After Xiao interrupted the conversation, Shunmaru and Levi could no longer continue their conversation, so they covered their heads again. Rushed towards the flower capital. The flower city is the capital of Wano Kuni, because the streets and alleys here are full of sakura flower trees. When spring comes, the entire flower city becomes a sea of sakura flowers, with groups of sakura flowers crowded together on the trees. Just like pieces of flowing clouds hanging on the trees, when a breeze blows, the flowers are raining all over the sky. 0. When Levi and others came to the flower city, it was the season when sakura flowers were in bloom. The entire flower city was in the most beautiful season of the year. Countless young men and women in kimonos were happily nestled under the sakura flower trees. Because this is the location of Kurozumi Urukai's shogunate, there are no chimneys all over the mountains and plains. It still retains the most original beauty of Wano Kuni. It's really beautiful here. A happy smile appeared on Xiao's face. She was spinning around in circles under Sakura's rain of flowers excitedly. Seeing the excited smile on Xiao's face in front of him, Levi decided to preserve the beautiful scenery of Wano Kuni after defeating Kurozumi. He would build several kendo gyms in this country and let his swordsmen come here to learn kendo. Only in this purest natural environment can the purest swordsmen be cultivated. Xiao Zi is here, everyone, go and watch. There was a shout from nowhere, and all the men and women on the street ran towards the street. Their fanatical attitude was very much like Levi's star chasers in his previous life. Let's go see Wano Kuni's #1 Warren. Levi smiled and picked up Xiao, and then he walked towards the street. Pirates, check in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 149. It's so beautiful. Xiao will no longer be a ninja. Xiao will also be a singer. Xiao's face was full of longing, and amid the beautiful music of the shamisen, a beautiful woman wearing a brocade-embroidered kimono and a gorgeous headdress slowly walked over. She has emerald green hair, styled like an aristocratic princess. Set against the sky full of sakura flowers, she looks like a goddess who stepped out of legend. This is Wano Kuni's #1 beauty, Xiao Zi. She's so beautiful, Countless men are obsessed with Xiao Zi's peerless beauty and can't extricate themselves. How come there is such a familiar feeling? Jushin Maru frowned. This is the Kojiki Hiri you are looking for, Levi whispered to Shuten Maru. Shuten Maru was shocked. When the crowd had dispersed, Shuten Maru took Levi to a secluded corner and asked Levi, "How did you know he was Princess Hiri?" "What I just sensed with observation Haki is that this woman's heart is full of desire for revenge." You know, observation Haki can hear other people's inner thoughts. After practicing to ultimate, Levi casually made up a reason to take Shuten one. The household was fooled. "In that case, I know what to do." Shuten Maru bowed deeply to Levi. At this time, the entire street began to become restless, and subordinates belonging to Kurozumai and Kurozumai began to post bounty notices all over the city. The current Kurozumai Orokai mansion is in an unprecedented tense period. All Kurozumai Orokai's troops have been dispersed, especially around the entire periphery of the general mansion. He has deployed all demon fruit power here. It's just a bunch of idiots. With so many people, we can't even find a few pirates, Kurozumai cursed angrily. I heard from Quinn that Levi is a big pirate whose strength is no less than Kaido. Now he is heading towards the Shogun's mansion. The purpose of his trip is the head of Kurozumai Orokai, so he can't help but panic. Orokai, you have lost your composure. As a superior, you must be calm. An old voice came from the barrier behind the Orokai. The moment this voice came, Kurozumai suddenly became calm. He seemed to be a different person, and his whole aura became extremely calm. "I am the general of the entire Wanakuni, what can a mere pirate do to me?" Kurozumai started laughing. The people who were kneeling under him laughed when they saw Kurozumai, and they all laughed and agreed, "Just a pirate, he must be afraid of the majesty of the general and run away." "Yes, General, that pirate must have escaped, otherwise our troops would not be able to find traces of him." Looking at the people in front of him who were looking at his expressions carefully, Kurozumai laughed again. "Although that pirate is hateful, for those of you who are not good at doing things, keeping him is just a waste of food. General, spare your life." As the black shadows behind the Kurozumai snake spread, the entire hall became like a hell on earth, with screams, begging for mercy, and chewing sounds all heard. When the black shadows dispersed, the entire hall became quiet, and all the kneeling ministers disappeared. Then some warriors came up to clean the remaining bloodline in the hall. Their expressions did not change, and they were obviously not aware of everything in front of them. "Commonplace. Where have you been, Xiaozi? Why haven't you arrived yet?" Kurozumai frowned. Reporting to the general, "Xiao Zi has arrived at Central Street and will soon arrive at the general's mansion," a samurai reported to Orokai. Kurozumai's face showed a look of satisfaction, and he laughed loudly. "Only Xiaozi's singing and dancing can soothe my restless heart." "Isn't this a portrait of a low-class person?" Shuten Maru was surprised. They had just arrived in the Flower City, and their reward orders began to be posted all over the city. Kurozumai Orokai's administrative efficiency is not very high. As his voice fell, everyone who was reading the notice turned to look at them. Then the expressions of the onlookers changed drastically. They all screamed and ran away. The streets that were originally packed with people became empty in an instant. "This painter's painting skills are quite good," Levi couldn't help but nodded in approval as he looked at the notice in front of him. Posted here are portraits of Levi, Shuten Maru, and Mame. Perhaps because Xiao is too young, she is not on this notice. D. Following a sharp bamboo whistle, waves of footsteps continued to be heard around the street. "The criminals are here, don't let them escape." Afterwards, groups of warriors holding long swords surrounded Levi and others. Outside the warriors, there were people with guns pointing at them. This was Kaido's army. "I originally wanted to do it in a low-key manner, but it seems I can't hide it now." Levi sighed secretly, and then his conqueror's haki directly filled the audience, and the warriors fell to the ground one after another. Their strength was too low, and Levi simply used Conqueror's pressure to destroy them. What an amazing strength! The look of shock on Shuten-Meru's face flashed away. He originally thought he had seen Levi's strength, but it turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. Such a powerful Conqueror's haki, Maya was shocked. Levi also used Conqueror's haki once when he was robbing the treasure ship, but his overlord haki was only 1/10 of what it is now. I don't know if this is Levi's full strength now. 5.6. Now go directly to Kurozumai Urukai's shogunate. Our whereabouts have been discovered, there is no need to hide it anymore, Levi said to Shuten-Meru. But Shuten-Meru hesitated for a moment. He originally wanted to find Princess Kojiki Hiri first, but the current situation no longer allowed him to find Hiri first. Let's go. Let's hit the bad guy Kurozumai away. Xiao waved her little fist excitedly, as if she could knock Kurozumai away with one punch. The mansion of Kurozumai Urukai has been found. Levi's observation haki instantly found the direction of Kurozumai Urukai's mansion. Shocked by Conqueror's haki, Levi headed all the way towards the shogun's mansion. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 150. Kurozumai Urukai's shogun mansion is the successor to Kojiki Sukiyaki's mansion. In addition to the specifications of the house remaining unchanged, the surrounding decoration, flowers, trees, and plants have also been completely renewed. Shuten-Meru couldn't help but sigh with emotion when he looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar place in front of him. They had been here many times with Kojiki Oden, and he was considered a regular customer here. Sir, let me take the lead. Shuten-Meru pulled out second-generation Kaititsu, and a cold smile appeared on his face. He had dreamed of the scene countless times in his dreams, and now his dream was finally about to come true. Who are you? Seeing Shuten-Meru drawing his sword with a murderous look, they finally realized something was wrong, and they started blowing bamboo whistles like crazy. The entire general's mansion was alarmed. At this moment, Kurozumai is enjoying Zayazi's music in the hall. Zayazi is wearing a white mask and playing the shamisen. As the rhythm of the music gradually speeds up, Kurozumai's posture becomes more and more wild. The atmosphere inside was in sharp contrast to the murderous scene outside. A man with squinting eyes and a strange blue hairstyle suddenly opened his eyes when he heard the movement outside the hospital. What happened? Lord Kwangshilang, Shuten-Meru, the pillar of the Taoshan bandit group, has come in, a subordinate reported to him in a hurry. How many people did they come? Kwangshilang asked. There are 4 people in total, the subordinate said hesitantly. What a waste. Such a big general's palace can't even take down 4 madmen, Kwangshilang sneered, and then he kicked the ninja over. Inform the Urukai Imperial Court fans and let them solve the trouble. Don't disturb Master Kurozumai Urukai's temperament, Kurozumai ordered the ninja. As the ninja left, Kwangshilang was intoxicated in Xiao Zi's music. Shuten-Meru fought all the way from the gate to the front yard. At this moment, as the samurai retreated, some ninjas dressed in strange shapes began to join the ranks besieging Shuten-Meru. These ninjas were obviously much stronger than the samurai. Tenmeru was gradually trapped in this square and could not move any further. Jushin-wan, please step back. You can follow me for the rest of the journey. Levi saw that Jushin-wan couldn't break through for a long time, so he prepared to go into battle himself. Shuten-Meru drove back the enemy in front of him with a slash. He said to Levi with shame, "This is General Sukiyaki's army. They are very strong. Please be careful." Levi slowly walked towards the square. The ninjas in front of him fired a wave of darts to test, but all the darts were blocked by Levi's 7-star sword. Afterwards, Levi's figure had disappeared. Xiao and others saw an extremely strange scene. Nearly 100 Levi's figures appeared on the square. This was an illusion caused by Levi's too fast speed. As Levi's figures merged into one, the square there is no one alive above. Kurozumai was still immersed in the joyful atmosphere of the banquet, and he had no idea what was going on outside the general's palace. Boom! With a loud noise, the entire hall collapsed, and Kurozumai and everyone in the hall were buried inside. Who dares to disturb Laozi's enjoyment? Kurozumai stood up angrily from the ruins. At the moment when the hall collapsed, an old man released a barrier, although Kurozumai was not hit by the collapsed roof. Yes, but he was choked and looked very embarrassed. When he saw the tragic situation of the general's mansion, the pupils in his eyes couldn't help but shrink tightly. The entire general's mansion was razed to the ground, and according to his experience, it was cut out by a slash. What a powerful swordsman, Kurozumai said with unmoved expression. Then he saw Levi and others standing in the distance. Are you Levi? Kurozumai woke up from the drink immediately. He could feel Levi's strong aura, and the wanted notice for Levi was given to him by Quinn himself, so he was very impressed by Levi. Quinn said that Levi was as strong as Kaido. Kurozumai thought that Quinn was exaggerating to cover up his incompetence. But now it seems that is not the case, Levi is really strong. Are you Wanakoni's General Kurozumai? What a pity. Levi shook his head regretfully. Before meeting Kurozumai, Levi thought he was a strong man who was not inferior to Kaido, but when he met this man, Levi was disappointed. Perhaps because he had been peaceful for too long, Kurozumai had lost his ability as a strong man. The basic vigilance of the person. Asshole, what's your look? Kurozumai was immediately angered by Levi's look. He was the supreme ruler of Wanakuni, and now he was despised by a pirate. Wait a minute, if I'm not mistaken, you are Ashiradaji. I can't believe that you can find such a powerful backer in your family for Hikaru. 10 old men stood up holding a young girl hostage. Do you still know her, Shuttenmaru? This is your Kojiki Day 210 and the princess. With just one move of my hand, the heir of your Kojiki family will be gone. The old man's smile was as ugly as a crow's. Are you Princess Hiri? Shuttenmaru looked at the face that was exactly the same as that of his wife back then. His heart was shaken immediately, and he remembered that Levi said that Xiao Zi was Princess Kojiki Hiri, so the girl in front of him how to explain it. Ashira boy, leave me alone, kill them all and avenge us. Kojiki Hiri screamed sadly. Sir, what should we do? Shuttenmaru was completely out of ideas, and he looked at Levi for help. Didn't you hear Princess Hiri's wish? Kill these people to avenge Princess Hiri, Levi said in surprise, as if drinking a pill was a very mentally retarded question. I say it again, put down your weapons. A short dagger appeared in the old man's hand, and the sharp dagger had already left a blood mark on Hiri's slender and white neck. Kojiki Hiri looked extremely uncomfortable, but she still stared at the old man unyieldingly. What a great acting skill, Kurozumai Higurashi, you are worthy of being a Paramecia clone fruit user. Levi suddenly laughed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 151. Levi's words immediately changed the expressions of several members of the Kurozumai family. Kurozumai Urakai held the two samurai swords on his waist tightly and laughed. What nonsense are you talking about? This is Princess Hiri. She will continue the bloodline of our Kurozumai family in the future. Princess Hiri, haven't you shown up yet? Levi shouted loudly. His words immediately made Kurozumai Urakai and others suspicious. Their eyes couldn't help scanning the faces of Mami and Xiao. Among the people present, they were the only two girls. Xiao was too young. They automatically ignored it, so they all looked at Mame. I'm not Princess Hiri, don't look at me like that. For the first time, Mame felt the embarrassment of having a 350-degree perspective. Being stared at by so many powerful people, she also felt a lot of pressure. Warren Xiao Zi, Princess Hiri, haven't you shown up yet? Levi shouted again at the pile of ruins in front of him. Then a woman wearing a white mask stood up from the ground. She had been quietly watching the development of the situation. Unexpectedly, Levi actually directly revealed her identity. She originally thought that Kurozumai was trying to lure her out, but now that the entire shogunate has been destroyed, if it was just to test her, the price would be too high. How do you know my identity? At this moment, Xiao Zi's princess hairstyle has been let down, and her emerald green hair is simply pinned with a gold hairpin. How do you know me? As for my identity, I didn't reveal any flaws when I asked myself. My observation Haki told me that I can hear the hatred and pain in your heart. Your heart is tortured by hatred every day. Every time in the dead of night, the scene of your father's death will be repeated in front of you. Keeps you awake at night. Levi slowly told Hiri's heart. Observation Haki, my father can also do this. After Xiao Zi said, she slowly took off her mask. At this moment, she had tears streaming down her face. No one knew that she, a weak woman, was doing this. How did it happen that she had been forced to smile all day long in the capital for more than 10 years? Now that Levi was talking about her, she couldn't help but feel the oil in her eyes. Kurozumai rolled his eyes and suddenly laughed. Ashura boy, what I have in my hands is the real Princess Hiri. What he has in his hands is just a counterfeit. He is trying to replace the blood of the Kojiki family quietly, so that he can control the entire Wanakuni secretly. Shuten Maru looked at the two Princess Hiri in front of him, and he had no idea. Ashura boy, do you remember Yama? Xiao Zi picked up the super high shoes she was wearing from the ground, and then the shoes broke from the middle, and a knife fell from the middle of Xiao Zi's hand. This is Inma, one of the Lord's swords. Yes, you are Princess Kojiki Hiri. When Odin died, he distributed the two swords he had with him. Tianyuyajan was given to his eldest son Momosuke, and Yama was given to Kojiki Hiri. Later, in order to preserve the bloodline of the Kojiki family, they were divided into two. The faction dispersed and fled. Kurozumai and others were also full of surprises. They did not expect that Hiri, whom they had always wanted to capture, was right under their noses and had been with them for such a long time. It's really a good trick, Princess Hiri. Hiri, who was held hostage by Kurozumai's projectiles, praised. Her voice was originally as clear as an aureole, but after she spoke, her voice turned into the voice of an old man, and at the same time, the figure of an old woman appeared in front of them. You are also pretending to be young Master Momonosuke. Shuten Maru's eyes were splitting. When Kojiki was fighting Kaido, Kurozumai had kidnapped a fake Momonosuke. Now he knows that fake Momonosuke was transformed into the old guy in front of him. Not only that, the Kojiki Sukiyaki who said that the throne was passed to Kurozumai Urakai was also pretended by her. Otherwise, no matter how stupid Sukiyaki is, there is no way he would pass the throne to an outsider instead of his own son. Levi sneered. I'm going to kill you. Shuten Maru could no longer bear the anger in his heart, and the long sword in his hand sent out a slash towards the two old guys in front of him. How can this be? Jushinwan was shocked back several steps. The moment he struck out, the old man made a strange gesture with his hand, and then a barrier appeared in front of him. This barrier easily killed Jushin. Maru's slash was blocked. Kojiki Hiri looked at the old man in front of him with surprise. This old man's name was Kurozumai Dangan. He was a Baipa master. Nikawa also did not expect that this old man had such strength. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kurozumai Dandan, and I am a Paramecia barrier fruit user. I can even catch Kojiki Odin slash, let alone you. Kurozumai Dangan smiled proudly. I want to see if your devil fruit can resist my attack. Levi's eyes flashed, and then the 7-star sword in his hand was unsheathed, and his sword stabbed directly towards the barrier. Ding! With a crisp sound, Levi's long sword hit the barrier, and the barrier of Kurozumai's projectiles blocked Levi's long sword. I told you, it's useless, my barrier fruit can block all attacks, Kurozumai Dangan laughed. Really? I'll try again. Levi's long sword was raised straight, Dino's, and then a powerful sword intention was inspired by him. He just used the 5th level of sword intent, but now his sword intent has soared to 70%. Such a powerful sword intention, even stronger than Kojiki Oden's sword intention, Kurozumai Urakai was also shocked by Levi's sword intention. As Levi's sword intention condensed, the clouds in the sky were also broken by the sword intention. The golden sunlight shines on Levi's body, making him seem like a god in the sky. Kaka. As the long sword collided with the barrier, Kurozumai's projectile energy was lost crazily. Where Levi's sword tip came into contact with the barrier, shocking cracks appeared on the barrier. Levi exerted his strength again, and with Kurozumai's shocked look on his face, Levi's long sword connected Kurozumai Higurashi and Kurozumai's projectiles together. Kurozumai Higurashi and Kurozumai Dangan died. Pirates, check-in from Mariejois. Author, rock_candy_strawberry. Chapter 152. Kurozumai, it's your turn now. Levi's 7-star sword was pointed at Kurozumai. It's not that easy to kill me. Seeing that his 2 family ancestors were killed in an instant, Kurozumai became panicked instantly. The Kurozumai snake suddenly let out a roar, which sounded like a human voice at first, and then sounded like a snake's cry. 8 huge snakes appeared behind him. At this moment, Kurozumai's whole body is full of violent aura, and now he looks like a Wanakuni general. Levi, let me show you the power of my double sword style. Kurozumai, the snake, held 2 swords, and a powerful sword intention emerged from his body. In addition to being a demon fruit power, Kurozumai is also a swordsman. Sir, be careful. Kurozumai Urakai practices the most powerful double sword style of the Wanakuni Kojiki family, and ordinary swordsmen are no match for him, Shuten Maru said to Levi worriedly. Kojiki Oden is practicing this kind of swordsmanship. He once heard from other followers that when the mountain god incident broke out in the flower capital, a huge wild boar as big as a hill rushed into the flower capital. Kojiki Oden used it. This sword move cut a wild boar as big as a hill into 4 pieces in just one move. I have 2 swords, 157, and you only have 1, how can you fight with me? Kurozumai's voice roared like thunder. To kill someone, a sword is enough. Looking at Kurozumai, who looked like a god and demon in front of him, Levi became interested in fighting. Kurozumai is the awakened Zoan devil fruit ability, and he is also a top swordsman. This is the opponent Levi wants. Jushinwan and Mame, protect Xiao and Hiyori. After Levi finished speaking, he began to stride towards the Kurozumai snake. Boom, boom, boom. The moment Levi rushed towards him, Kurozumai's snake head kept hitting Levi, and the entire square became smoky. The snake Kurozumai transformed into was not only strong, but he could also spit out streams of dark green liquid from his mouth. The poisonous gas, the surrounding flowers and plants withered the moment they came into contact with these dark green auras, and even the surrounding stones began to melt. Quickly retreat, retreat outside, Jushinwan's expression changed drastically. If these toxins were contaminated on their bodies, they would definitely be dissolved instantly. As they left, the entire general's mansion began to be shrouded in poisonous fog. This is my poison domain. As long as you are contaminated with a trace of poisonous gas, your whole body will turn into pus and blood and die. Kurozumai looked at Levi and smiled proudly. Wouldn't it be better if you don't breathe? Levi's eyes flashed, and he swung out the 7-star sword in his hand. The snake's head that was originally biting him was chopped off with one strike of his sword. On the thick neck of the big snake Kurozumai, there was an ink green blood continued to spurt out, and the entire general's mansion became even more smelly. Levi's whole body has been shrouded in armament haki. Fortunately, his armament haki has reached its peak state. In this state, he can resist all attacks. Ah! My head! The remaining 7 heads of the Kurozumai snake became more violent in an instant, and the general's mansion was constantly knocked down by him. Joshinmaru and others could only hear the constant rumbling sound, and they could not see the situation in the general's mansion at all. Ashiradaji, will that adult be okay? Kojiki Hiri asked worriedly. Originally it was the mission of the Kojiki family to kill Kurozumai Urakai, but Kaido and Kurozumai Urakai were too powerful. Hiri had been lurking in the flower capital for more than 10 years, and she had no idea of a way to deal with Kaido and Kurozumai Urakai. Just when she felt darkness, she suddenly saw a glimmer of light. Levi was the only glimmer of light she saw, and Hiri couldn't imagine what would happen to her if Levi failed. Don't worry, because, BFDF, brother is the strongest. Xiao turned around and smiled at Hiri. Xiao's pure smile also calmed Hiri's restless heart, and she looked towards the field again. As Levi swung his long sword, the heads of the Kurozumai snake fell to the ground one after another. In the blink of an eye, 7 of the Kurozumai snake's heads were chopped off by Levi, leaving him with only the last head. Levi, I admit that you are very strong, so let me show you my strongest state. Kurozumai laughed loudly, and then an extremely shocking scene happened. His 7 necks that had been severed by Levi began to slowly squirm, and in the blink of an eye, 7 new heads grew out. After that, the Kurozumai snake opened 8 huge mouths at the same time, and an amazing suction force appeared from his mouth. The poison that Cage had in the Shogun's mansion was re-inhaled by the Kurozumai snake. Afterwards, the Kurozumai snake reappeared in front of everyone. At this moment, he was holding 2 swords, but his swords had turned dark green. This is my improved swordsmanship, a new swordsmanship formed by combining the secret swordsmanship of the Kojiki family with my demon fruit power. Kurozumai proudly waved his swords, following his 2 swords. The sword flew, and dark green poisonous gas continued to emit along his long sword. Levi's brows furrowed. Under the induction of his observation haki, he saw a brand new scene. Kurozumai's 2 swords looked like they were at the level of a sharp sword, but under his poison, these 2 swords the knife has been corroded by the poisonous mist. Go to hell! Kurozumai laughed wildly, waving his swords and flying towards Levi with poisonous slashes one after another. Let you die with dignity. Levi sighed, and then all his sword intent was aroused, and the entire general's mansion suddenly became agitated. Levi swung a slash, which instantly broke all the slashes of Kurozumai Urakai, and then the slash flew towards Kurozumai Urakai. No, how can you be so strong? Kurozumai's eyes reflected Levi's slash. His swords crossed and faced Levi's sword energy. As his swords were damaged, Levi's slash passed through his back. How can you defeat me? My swordsmanship is the strongest. Kurozumai was bleeding from 7 orifices. He had been seriously injured by Levi. If he hadn't been the Zoan demon fruit power, he would have died long ago.